Welcome to my channel. My name is Misty. Today's video is going to be a book haul for all the books that I have gotten or had for our homeschool curriculum on North American birds. Granted, these books are not based on all North American birds, but just have to go with the whole idea in general, and we will get into them here in a second. But first, I do want to say, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more content just like this on my channel, all things homeschool, and the like button lets me know that this is the type of content you enjoy, so I know what to make for you in the future. So let's go ahead and get into what books I have to show you. All right, so just sitting here crisscross applesauce on my couch. Hopefully, I always feel like I look awkward when I sit like this, but let's go ahead and get into the books in no particular order. The first book is called Are You My Mother by P.D. Eastman, and this is a really cute book that my girls enjoy. Matter of fact, there's some wear and tear now that I'm looking into it that needs to be addressed, but it's about a bird who just hatched from its egg when the mother had left to get some food, and so the bird goes on this adventure trying to figure out what animal is its mother since it's never seen it before. And my kids get enjoyment out of seeing a bird think that various things are the mother, so that is a good one to keep my kids interested in just learning about birds. If you don't know, I am a big believer in using fiction books in your curriculum because it just helps give them crazy, silly stories that really entice them into learning more about the subject you're teaching on. You can also use fiction books just to keep things fun and interesting. The next book that I grabbed is definitely the #1 book, and I'm glad I bought it. In fact, my daughter is begging me for the entire series. I've read this every single day for the past 2 weeks that we have been homeschooling, and that is Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, Words and Pictures by Mo Willens. So in this book, there's a bus driver, obviously, and the bus driver tells you, the audience, not to let the pigeon drive the bus. I love books that are very interactive. That's actually our favorite style to read in our household. So that is why obviously this is a big hit in our house. But it's a really cute book that is very repetitive, to be honest, and simple to read. Therefore, my children have learned how to, in a sense, read or memorize every single page and read it themselves for the most part. And so it's just these different scenarios and things he's saying where he's like, hey, can I drive the bus? And my kids will yell, no, you can't drive the bus. Please, I'll be careful. No, you can't drive it. And we go through it and you just repeat this interactive experience with the book, which they really love. This is their favorite page here. So when we get to this one, we're yelling, let me drive the bus, as loud as we can. And they're yelling, no, no, no. You know, I'm probably sounding like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but this book is definitely a good one if you are doing the North American birds by Gather Round or any other curriculum as well. This is one that my girls really love. By the way, I always forget to say that I will have all of the books that I can link. I'll link them down below for you guys in the Dropbox, so you can always look there for links to find the books. Another great book, it's actually two, so I'll put the two on here back to back. Matter of fact, I'll just talk about them at the same time. That is A Nest is Noisy and An Egg is Quiet. So these are factual books that give you a lot of beautiful illustrations. It also gives you a lot of exposure to birds and animals that you otherwise would not know about, including for you, the adult, to be honest. And it gives you a lot of interesting information, and they kind of categorize it too. So when you go inside, like this one is A Nest is Noisy. So this page says A Nest is Welcoming. So they talk about different varieties that seem to have welcoming spaces. This one says A Nest is Spiky. Let's learn why. So now we have a whole page of things that are categorized into spiky nests. This one says A Nest is Peculiar. So it's really interesting for your kid because they will see that category and they'll wonder, why is that nest spiky? Same thing with The Egg is Quiet. We go over the different shapes. Like we learned in here that animals and birds that lay eggs on top of rocks have these almost oval-shaped eggs with a point so that they can't roll off of the rocks. So these are very information-packed. They are both written by Diana Hutz-Aston and Sylvia Long. So I highly recommend these two, as well as they have other ones. These are just the only two we have in the collection so far. And I would tell you that these are a must for doing the bird curriculum. Keep in mind, if you're doing the Gather Round North American Birds curriculum, they do give you a reading list that they recommend. I was 50-50 on the books in there as far as what I would get. So just keep in mind, you don't have to follow their exact recommended reads. You can always add on and do your own thing that fits your family better. The next book is a very important one. I think they just touch on Carl Linnaeus in the curriculum that I'm talking about, but this book is called Carl, Get Out of the Garden. Carl Linnaeus has a lot to do with the history of naming and categorizing animals and plants. Predominantly plants, but animals as well. So Carl Linnaeus is a factual person. He is a man in history who came up with the most organized system for how we categorize and name our plants and animals. Before he did that, things were a bit crazy. There were a million names and a lot of confusion about what to call plants and animals. So Carl was this boy who had this super big fascination with plants and animals and grew up to become someone to study medicine and the science behind it, and was able to categorize, I think, 18,000 different species. Don't quote me on that number. That was the number that came in my head. Hopefully I'm right on that. Carl Linnaeus is also responsible for the original 6 and then 7 kingdom classifications in the animal world. So I could talk all day. This is a very long book. We broke it up into several days to read, and it was jam-packed with knowledge, and I highly recommend this one. This next one is a good one. Now, I will say that if you're doing the Gather Round curriculum, it only covered technically 5 of the birds in the curriculum, but still it's packed with plenty of information to add on for more enriched learning. And it is the Big Book of Birds by Yuval Zamir. And once again, this is a book with beautiful illustration inside. As you can see, it is unbelievable. And it is slightly interactive as well, in the sense that some pages are turned sideways. Like if I find one here, let's see. So it is interactive in the sense that they're going to be turning the pages, getting a different feel for the ways to hold the book. And it also categorizes books very nicely, so I highly recommend it to add on to any North American bird learning or bird learning in general. It doesn't just have to be North American, but this is a good one. I highly recommend this one as well. Before I put it down, I didn't really explain too much, but if you go to the table of contents, it explains what it goes over. So it goes over bird family trees, bird watchers, feathers and flying, birds on the move, and then it breaks down into the different types of birds that it covers and different factual things about each bird individually. And then they also talk about birds and some of the facts about them living in the city, which is quite an interesting page, I might add. And also, I believe there is an egg hunt in here, if I am correct. Is it this book? Yes. So it's interactive because they're also going on an egg hunt where they're supposed to find a very specific egg on almost, not every page, but throughout the book. So that's a really nice touch as well. This book is one I went back and forth with another option, and I decided on this one, and I'm glad we did. Once again, full of great information, and the illustration is still very beautiful, but the other books I showed you just are top notch for illustration. But this one is Feathers, Not Just for Flying by Melissa Stewart. And so obviously, it's a book where they tell you a lot of different facts about feathers to understand. So here it's explaining that feathers are like a warm blanket, and they talk about how it insulates birds to keep them warm. Over here it explains how they're used as a cushion-like pillow. Obviously, in some nests, that's how they're used. This bird specifically, I believe she plucks her own feathers. She does. A wood duck, she will pluck her own feathers and create a lined nest out of her own feathers. So really interesting information. I had no idea that there's a duck that does that. And they also go over some of the really fun stuff we all know, like peacocks, and it talks about how it attracts attention and how it's almost like jewelry for the bird. Of course, my camera just decided to overheat and die on me. But we were talking about this book. Like I said, I highly recommend this one as well. I think I got really good books, to be honest, all of them. This one isn't necessarily a bird book, but it does talk about bird habitats, and it's a great way to just ease into talking about bird habitats, because this book is called A Walk in the Woods, or A Walk Through the Woods, by Louise Grigg. I'm not sure if I said that right. The girls love this book, and you will see why here in a second. First of all, it is very poetically written. As you read it, you'll understand what I mean by that, but it's just not in your face, very simple, plain sentences like most books are for kids. It's written a little more poetic and beautifully. So the first page alone, hello, so cheesy, you can open up that way. And oh my goodness, it's a really cool, not pop-up book, but just, it's a really cool book with the carve-outs where you're walking deeper and deeper into the woods. So you start here, and as you can see, it's open. But each page you're walking deeper into the woods, and they're discussing the different things that you would see, the different animals you would see, some of the different interactions in the animals in nature, and you're just walking deeper in. And then when you look on the back side that you already read, it looks like you're looking through a tunnel back to where you started by a house. So I think that is a really cool part of the book. For example, when I say poetic, like it says, fox sleeps, deer sips, the pond memorizes deer's face. She tells the pond a secret. The silent pool will keep it deep, deep down. So like I said, written a little more poetic, a lot more than a usual kid's book. But this is a really nice book that I believe I got off Amazon. I don't know where else you can get. Honestly, most of my books are from very select places. But yes, this is a beautiful one for any sort of nature or environment learning you're doing to add on. So go check this one out. The Bad Seed. Since we do a lot of talking about what birds eat, we know birds love seeds. This book is really, really cute. It's called The Bad Seed, written by Jory John. And it's just this book, and it kind of plays off of emotions too. The other books, in fact, do involve emotion. But this person writes these books all kind of in a similar vibe. And he's saying how he's such a bad seed. And throughout the book, everybody he runs into is like, man, that's a bad seed. And he's going through the book angry and bad, and everybody, you know, afraid to talk to him, interact with him, walking on eggshells around him. But eventually you get to a point where you realize he doesn't want to be known as the bad egg. And so it's the story of him getting to that point. It talks about why he became bad too, so that's the funny part. It's a cute little story about what made him turn bad. But by the end of the book, you start to realize, like, even though he's had hurts in the past that made him kind of put up a shield and defense on himself, he does not want to necessarily be bad. And by the end of the book, he figures out how to, if you're looking really deeply into it, how to start the healing process to walk away from those things in the past that have caused him to be a hardened seed, hardened shell with anger. And yeah, even by the end, it starts to show that other people can see that he's not so bad. So that's a really cute book to add in that also talks about, you know, some of life's problems and how we can deal with them. So that's another awesome aspect of this book, other than it just being to add on to the bird studies. This book I've used a lot all summer. And it's one of those things, thanks to Oglesby Ohana. If you don't know her, you need to. And she's always linked down below in the Dropbox. And she got me interested in this book. This is The Magic and Mystery of Trees by Jen Green. It's a DK book. And this is packed with great information. If you're going to talk about bird habitats, this book is a great add-on where you can go down rabbit trails. So if you're really into Charlotte Mason theories, then you can use this book to say, okay, we're talking about the habitats of birds. A lot of birds live in trees. And then it just goes in this rabbit trail where you can just open this book up and show your kids so many interesting things about trees and the outside environment around trees. It does not hurt that the illustrations are ridiculously gorgeous. And once again, it has some of those interactive pages where you have to turn the book over to see it. But yes, this is another great book with jam-packed knowledge. So check that one out as well. The next book is a very loved on one by my kids. Matter of fact, it is showing too much love. I don't know how much longer it will last before it falls apart. This is called The Purple Little Bird, written by Greg Foley. And it's about a little bird who becomes bored with his home, I guess is how you can put it. But what you need to know about the bird is he loves everything purple. He has a purple house, purple mailbox, he's purple, purple flowers, purple fence. Like, he's just obsessed with everything purple, even in his house. But he spent all his time trying to make it perfect, but no matter what he did, something just didn't settle well with him. And so he decided to up and leave his home. And then he goes on this journey exploring other people's homes, and he's trying to find a new home that makes him feel like everything's in place. But by the end of the book, he realizes his home was the perfect home all along, and that he just needed to make some changes, and he ends up adding color to his world other than purple. So cute little book, and the girls love this one. I'm telling you, I love every book that we've gotten. There's not one book where I've been like, All of these have been phenomenal books. And the last one, is this the last one? Yeah, the last two I'll just touch on. I'm trying to even need to add them. I'll just touch on the last two, but this is the last official bird book, I believe. I think I rounded them all up. But this is Who Hatched the Egg, and it was written by Tish Rabe, part of the Dr. Seuss series, obviously, or the Cat in the Hat Learning Library anyways. As you know, if you see this emblem or logo on books, it doesn't mean it was written by Seuss himself necessarily. There's a continuance of books with the same themes. So this one is all about eggs, obviously. So they go over different types of eggs. They talk about chicken eggs, the eggs of insects and animals, outside of birds. It talks about just a whole bunch of stuff. So once again, this is one of those things where you can go on a rabbit trail and talk about things outside of birds, but it does cover birds enough for it to still be considered part of our reads for our curriculum. Matter of fact, right here they show you the different stages that an egg would go through, like a baby inside the egg anyways, for a chicken. So here it shows you like the yolk and the shell. Something I didn't know was that there are pores on the egg. The egg is porous and air gets in and out. You wouldn't think that because, you know, yolk doesn't slip out, but matter of fact, it has air that is able to go in and out through a porous shell. And here they show you what a chick would look like at different stages. So this is you know, at day 3 it looked like this. And then it goes through just the different stages until it's ready to hatch. So this was a great book as well. It didn't feel long to read. I don't know about you guys, but my daughter loves Cat and Hat books. So it's one of those things where I just deal with it and read these super long books that are just way too long because she enjoys them. But I would say that this is probably the first Dr. Seuss book in a while that I've read where I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is never ending. I do enjoy Dr. Seuss, but as the parent reading them all day long, I only want to deal with tongue twisters so much in a day. And like I said, the last two aren't bird related, but my daughter chose to put them in our I showed you these two in the video where I showed you me kind of putting my North American bird curriculum and aids together. These two were in there, and that is Pete the Cat and the Cool Cat Boogie, and Fred and Ted's Road Trip. So there are birds mentioned in both of these books. That's why my daughter chose for me to include them, but they're not the highlight, definitely. So you don't need these. These are just fun books we already had that my daughter was like, hey, they have birds, throw it in there. All right, so that is the book haul for all the books that we've been using for North American birds. I don't think, if you watch that video, like I said, of doing the curriculum, I don't think we're going to get the birdsong book. I just can't justify the price of that book, even though it's really cool. But I'll link that one down below as well in case you're interested in the birdsong book. Maybe later I'll change my mind, but for now we didn't get it. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you if you're building a bird curriculum and trying to find books to go around it. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this on my homeschooling channel here called Teach Them Fun. And the like button lets me know that this is the type of content that you enjoy, so I know what to make for you in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Have fun homeschooling. Bye.